The stories we've ran doing around the recovery of small businesses, Jeremy, many of them have not been thrilled about the prospects of loans. We've heard President Cyril Ramaphosa not so long ago lash out at banks for tight criteria and being too conservative in their lending. Well, Lungisa Fuzile, is the current chief executive of Standard Bank. He joins us now. Lungisa, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. I'm going to get into some of the latest initiatives that Standard Bank has in line with this subject in a moment. But let's start with the issue of extension of loans. I mean, banks have extended 15 billion rand in loans under the government-backed COVID-19 loan guarantee scheme. That's a fraction of the 200 billion rand intended. Why is that?
Devan, it's often misunderstood, this concept. The 200 billion was the highest amount that government and banks collectively had discussed and talked about the possible very maximum, like the highest possible amount ever. But in the interest of speed, we wanted to make sure that we don't keep coming back and saying, should we increase the headroom now that we can do? So we agreed that at most, if this COVID lasts for a very long time and is more severe, that could be the amount. But the amount that the banks actually signed up for is less than that. Now, that's the first point. Second point is that the scheme started only mid-May. And you and I know the lockdown was late March. So immediately there was lockdown. The banks, on their own, without any support from government, with some support insofar as the adjustment, for instance, to the liquidity capital ratio and other factors from the central bank, began to assist their client on their own, of their own volition. Both individuals and businesses, they started to engage in restructuring of some of their debt that they had with us, to make sure that the businesses, as they shut their doors in response to COVID and to protect their workers and customers, they still had some liquidity. They could still afford some of their operating expenses, rentals, some wages, and other liabilities. So by the time the loan guarantee scheme gets switched on, a lot had already happened. So the loan guarantee scheme didn't find a situation where nothing had happened. So businesses had had some help, lots of it actually. From their bank, the banks that they were doing business.
And you're saying in the form of that payment holiday as well. Well, you want to extend more support to some of these small businesses in different forms. Standard Bank has this new online publication to look at small businesses. How is that going to help them, though?
We have helped the businesses that bank with us, Devan. We got onto it immediately. In other words, we indicated to them that they could, in fact, in the initial instance, all businesses with a turnover of less than 20 million, we said to them, you have got the option not to pay us if you owe us. But of course, if you feel that you don't want the support, talk to us. So we made it very easy for banks. And you must remember the significance of just that initiative. It implied that people didn't have to get into cars, get into taxis, and mingle with others and risk being infected. That's a very appropriate response in the circumstances. Second, we switched on scale, our digital capabilities. In other words, being able, which is to your point, to service our clients remotely without having them coming to us or anywhere where we operate, what we call points of presence, in order to access our services, access finance. We said sitting where they are on a digital platform, iPad or a computer, to the extent that they want some help from us, they could complete forms digitally and they could receive approvals similarly. So in a way, that again was an appropriate response tailored for the circumstances where traveling was difficult, traveling had become a risky business, where interacting face-to-face with people had become a risky business. We said digitally, let's work. And let me just drop this data point. Although it does not relate exclusively, in fact, mainly to business customers, the use of our digital platform, accessing or doing business with us digitally, remotely, shot up by 78%, Devan. And it was not from a small number during this period. So it does show what, as a bank, Standard Bank did, and I think that our competitors did similar things in order to make sure that our customers were not left in a lurch, in order to make sure that South African businesses could still operate and keep some of their productive capacity, ready for the time when COVID passes. Now we're at level 1 lockdown.
And I want to come in there, if I can, Lungisa, just very quickly to talk about the environment around it. You've worked either directly or indirectly on recovery plans in your days at the Treasury. What do you make of this NEDLAC economic recovery plan, which still needs cabinet approval, the President suggesting more consultation? Does it have the required urgency?
It's a good start, Devan, and all parties understand the urgency that is required. I will confess that it has taken longer than I would have liked, but that's the nature of the animal we're dealing with. One, COVID makes interaction difficult. Number two, it's bringing together all parties. Of course, business has got multiple formations, but of course, government is also a complex animal by nature. So it is bringing all of these constituencies, including different formations of labor, and you know there is a multiplicity of those. But the fact that we have reached the point where we are, where there is convergence, one, on the nature of the problem, its depth and gravity. Second, on a suite of responses, actions that are required from government, responses that business will act to meet government halfway, what labor will do, and community is such a good thing. It does mean that South Africans are ready to work together for the greater good of the South African economy and indeed South African society. We stand ready to partner to reignite growth. It's not going to be easy. These are complex phenomena, Devan, but the fact that we are talking about them and have reached this point of a near consensus on what is to be done by whom and when is a very positive development. And some of those actions, by the way, have got timelines attached to them.
Okay, I'm going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much indeed, Lungisa Fuzile, the Chief Executive of the Standard Bank. Thanks.